Hey friends, if we haven't met yet, my name is Leah Noel, and this is Rhubarb Patch Studio. Today I have kind of a special video because I found my childhood stitching projects. I thought they were lost forever until a couple of months ago when my husband and I were going through some boxes of things, just trying to, weed out some of the stuff that we have in the house. And we came across this box that I had from my parents' house. And inside were my very first project, my very first cross-stitch project, and my second cross-stitch project. So both of those discoveries were very exciting, and and I wanted to share them with you because they're special, and I learned some lessons from them. So I want to share that with you today, and then at the end of the video, I also want to participate in a getting to know you tag, which was written by Scott Stitches in Spain. And in his last video, which was maybe a month ago or 2 months ago now, he shared this getting to know you tag. So I know there's this know your needleworker tag that kind of floats around, but Scott kind of rewrote it, and I just thought that it would be fun to put it into this video since you're getting to see the earliest creations of myself, I guess. And then we'll just kind of get to know me a little bit more. So, all right, so first off, would you like to see my very first cross-stitch project? It was a kit, and this is what the kit looked like. And I got this for a gift when I was about 7 or 8. Nobody taught me how to cross stitch. I just followed the directions that were in this kit. And yeah, I didn't really have any guidance at all. It came with everything, the flosses and the fabric, and this is how far I got. So, I don't know if you can tell, but the fabric is super dirty. You can see there in the light how dirty it is. And it's got the hoop marks, and it also has crease marks. And I just found it like this. There's no needle. I was trying to figure out how to backstitch, and it looks like I just kind of gave up mid-stitch, and it's been this way ever since. So, story about this. So this is what it's supposed to look like. So I have a feeling that I know why I stopped stitching on this. We had someone come over to our home, and she was a cross stitcher. She knew how to cross stitch, and she picked up my cross stitch and she looked at the back and she said, "Oh no, you're not supposed to do knots. You're not supposed to make knots on the back of your cross stitch." And you can see I've got lots of knots. You can see the black one's the most easy, but yeah, I made a lot of knots when I was starting and finishing because I didn't know any better. Like, I didn't know to do anything different. And this person was explaining to me how to anchor my thread in the back, so that I wouldn't have a knot and it wouldn't be messy in the back. And I felt really discouraged. And I don't know if anything was said about my backstitching at all, or if I did the backstitching after that visit, but I know that I was feeling more and more discouraged with this piece. And you know, this person who visited our house, she was young, you know, she was in her 20s and she didn't have any kids of her own yet, and I think, you know, maybe she was trying to be helpful in teaching me the right way to do things, but you know, I think it was discouraging. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but I think what I might do is I might just put this thread in the back. I might finish back stitching this part actually, probably I won't do that. I'll just probably put this in the back and I might just frame it as is. I might give it a wash. I'll give it a wash. I'll iron it out. I'll put this hanging thread in the back and I'll just frame it, you know? I'll just frame it as is. This was my very first cross stitch project, and on this side of life, I'm proud of it. You know, I had no guidance, and I think I did pretty good for being 7 or 8, you know? So that's the first one that I found, and the first one that I've ever done in life. I remember being very excited about the concept of cross stitching, and so let's see, I'm a child of the 80s, and my mom is a wonderful crafter and has always been a wonderful crafter, and she has a lot of craft books, especially in the 80s and 90s. She had all of these crafting books, lots of folk art crafts and just handcrafts. You know, I remember making paper cutouts, like, you know, like silhouettes. I just used regular scissors. I didn't know about X-Acto knives back then, but I remember doing that. I made a cardboard box and wrapped it with some wallpaper samples that we had in the house. So I would just kind of look through these craft books and I would try the crafts, and that was kind of my whole artistic side of my childhood. I was just looking through my mom's craft books and following the directions. Okay, so fast forward until I was about 11 or 12, maybe. Yeah, 12. I'm guessing it was 11 or 12, but anyways, my mom had this 3-ring binder of crafts, and inside of that book there was this one single page about cross stitching. And I remember looking at this design, and I just thought it was so cute with all, you know, all the different types of children and the bunnies, and it was so colorful, and all the flowers, and you know, just everything that I really loved. And I thought, I'm gonna stitch myself a birth sampler, and because this little excerpt here was talking about birth samplers, and I was kind of like, well, nobody's stitched me birth sampler, I'm gonna do one for myself. So I asked my mom if she would take me to the store to buy these materials, and she said, yes, let's do that. And so we got the material list. It explained how the DMC numbers, how to read the chart, and how to find the DMC numbers. So we did that. And so my mom bought me all the materials, and I sat down and I started stitching, and I got pretty far. So I have not touched this since that time. So here's my sampler. Now, I remember working on this. And just thinking back to the bedroom that I had to have been like 11 or 12. I remember starting with all the flowers and the alphabet, and I put my name here and you know, did all of the children. I felt so accomplished. Looks like I just need to finish back stitching this this child. And and then I remember doing this border, and I remember thinking, ugh, what a slog. So even as a child, I did not enjoy doing borders. So you'll see that this border is very much incomplete. It's supposed to have all those little flowers, but everything else is basically done. So what I've decided to do, and I have not stitched on this at all since I found it, but what I think I'm going to do is I'm actually going to finish this border, just the vine part. I'm not going to add the flowers, and I'm just going to bring the border up. I'm going to finish this back stitching, and then I'm going to pop it into a frame, and I'm going to let it be done, because I think, you know, just a regular old vine, I think that will look just fine. But notice the masking tape. This is why we don't masking tape our sides anymore. You know, gets pretty nasty. Ew. But here, let's see if I can get a snapshot. Hopefully that worked. Hopefully that can be my thumbnail. But anyways, I just wanted to share this little part of my history that I recently discovered. It's good to find these. It's really a relief to me, because I truly thought these were gone forever. I thought I would never see them again. And I used to think about this sampler. No, I mean, I have like consistently thought of this sampler time and time again. And I'm just glad. It's like running into an old friend, you know? So I'm excited about this. And why did I stop? I really don't know. I think I just got busy, and I got burnt out on this border, honestly. I remember telling myself just one thread, you know, one length of thread, and, you know, and you can be done for the day. And I used to do that. And I just did not enjoy this border, you know, stitching the same thing over and over. But I'll finish it up. It shouldn't take very long to finish up. I don't know when I will do that, but I hope to do that kind of soon. So yeah, when I stopped, I still really didn't know much about the cross-stitching hobby in general. All I had to go off was that book. I still really didn't have any relatives who could teach me anything about it. And we lived in a really rural area. You know, hobbies were kind of cost prohibitive. So anyway, I didn't actually pick up another cross stitch until I was in my late 20s. So it would have been about 15 years later that I actually got into cross stitch again, because I had some disposable income, semi-disposable income, and I was able to kind of take that journey, and here I am now, and I can't imagine my life without cross stitch, you know? So okay, so I hope you enjoyed that little tour down what do they say, memory's path or something? I don't know. What am I even saying anymore? So the next part of my video, I would like to take this getting to know you tag. There are 10 questions, and these were written by Scott Stitches in Spain. I will link his channel below in case you want to check him out. He's very fun to watch. Yeah, so 10 questions. Let's get to know me and my stitching. So, number 1, give me a break. At some point, many of us have lost our stitching bug. What's the longest break you've taken from stitching? So, having just seen my history of stitching, I would say the longest break has been 15 years. But from the time that I really started stitching, like, you know, about a decade ago, and now, I really don't go very long without stitching. I think maybe it's been a couple months, like during the early years of being a new mother, and not having the time and moving. But on the regular, I really don't take very long breaks from stitching. Like maybe 10 days is maybe the most that I've gone, and it didn't feel like a break. It felt like torture. So there's my answer for that. Number 2, location, location, location. Where's the strangest place you've stitched? So I have not stitched very strange places, I don't think. I do take stitching when I travel. So I've stitched in the car, I've stitched at gymnastics practice, I've stitched at dance practice. I have stitched in, I guess maybe the strangest place so far that I've stitched is traveling to a business meeting. In my recent employment, I took a group trip up to a location, and while we were in the car, so me and 3 gentlemen who are in the air ambulance business, I just kind of took out my stitching and started stitching because we had a solid like 2 hours there and 2 hours back, and I thought, well, this is too good not to be using this time. So they all learned something about me that day, but not really. I just kind of did it discreetly in the back seat. And so maybe that's the strangest place, but I don't know, I'll work on that. Find some stranger places to stitch. Number 3, bad habits are hard to break. What is your worst stitching habit? My worst stitching habit is probably not finishing things. I start a lot of huge projects and I don't finish them. And that drives me nuts a little bit, but I also understand that I'm a process stitcher and I enjoy the process more than I enjoy the finished product, so it makes sense. But still, it is a bad habit. That's probably my bad habit, my worst habit. Number 4, save the trees. So many patterns are available as PDFs nowadays. Which do you prefer, paper or PDF? I used to say paper, hands down, but since I have started using Pattern Keeper, I can't go back. Pattern Keeper is so wonderful. It is such an amazing tool, and you need to have a PDF for Pattern Keeper to work. And I think if all PDF patterns could be used on Pattern Keeper, then I would say PDFs. But if a pattern is not Pattern Keeper compatible, then I prefer the hard copy. And if I buy a PDF, I will print out a copy so that I can have a physical copy. So I do prefer physical copy, I guess, but I prefer Pattern Keeper over everything else. Number 5, to frog or not to frog? That is the question. Even the best of us is prone to the occasional oops. Do you tear it out or work around it? I like to work around it if I can. If I can get away with just leaving it in, what I'll do is I'll take a strand of embroidery floss, which is it's a synthetic floss, but it's very smooth, and it's and you can just easily slide it through your fabric no matter what the fabric is. So I'll take a piece of neon pink, pinkish, orangish embroidery floss, and I'll baste stitch around the mistake, and that way I know not to count from that area, not to make everything else off. So I'll just isolate the areas that are miscounted and just visually make sure that I understand not to count from that area. I'm not opposed to frogging, like to tearing things out. It depends on the pattern. But if I can get away with it, I'm gonna leave it. Number 6, don't look a Gifthorse in the mouth. Stitchers know how much time, energy, and love go into our craft. Have you ever made something for someone and regretted it? No. Number 7, oops, I did it again. You suddenly realize your needle has gone missing. What do? I pray for the best. Yep. I will look for it. But I have a very short amount of time that I'll allot to looking for that lost needle, and I'll just hope that nobody steps on it or sits on it, which I have done. I have accidentally sat on a lost needle, and that was uncomfortable. But what can we do? Other than that, I really don't know. Okay, number 8, be kind to yourself. If you could go back in time and give stitching advice to your younger self, what would it be? Yeah, looking at my old stitching, I would tell my younger self that it looks beautiful, and that even if I made mistakes, that's okay. And just to keep practicing, because practice makes perfect, and someday this hobby is going to be dear to you, and just to keep it up and to not lose patience with yourself. That's what I would say. Number 9, forget about it. Have you ever abandoned a project? Why or why not? Yes, I have abandoned projects, and I sort of feel bad about it sometimes, but I'm trying not to feel bad about it. There's one project in particular that I abandoned because I stitched it on Aida when it really should have been stitched on linen or even weave, because there were so many fractional stitches, and I didn't understand, or I didn't know that anything but Aida was an option. I didn't know that there were different kinds of needles that would make piercing the fabric easier. And the instructions actually told me to stitch it on Aida. So, I mean, what's up with that? It probably was a pattern from the 80s. But I miscounted in an area. I was almost done, and it was totally off. Not fudgeable. I was very frustrated. I decided to abandon it. So I'm still trying to think about what to do with that project. I think I can turn it into something, but I just don't really know what yet. And then in more recent years, I have decided to abandon a number of projects, and that's just because every time I picked it up, I felt like something was off with my choices, and I wanted to try again later. So that's not a complete abandonment, but it is somewhat. Okay, number 10. Trends come and go. Which trends or fads are you glad or sad are gone, and are there any you hope will return? So one trend that I'm glad is gone is stitching on plain fabric. Everything stitched on Aida, and everything stitched on like just a plain colored fabric. And I think there is definitely a time and place for that, but I love hand-dyed fabrics, and I love hand-dyed flosses, and I just think that it gives so much more depth to the image, and I just really love it. And I stitch on both Aida and linen. You know, so I'm not knocking Aida. I'm just glad that there's more options. That's something that I'm glad about. It's just there's so much more, so many more options, so much more room for creativity and personalizations and whatnot. So I'm glad to see that. And I think I am sad that Hardinger is not more of a thing anymore. I would like to learn how to do hardanger. That was part of my goal when I left grad school. I was actually going to dedicate time to learn hardanger, to teach myself. A wonderful stitcher named Sarah, she's the Redheaded Stitcher on Instagram. She sent me a hardanger book that is for beginners, and she even sent me some scissors that will work for hardanger because I didn't have any. And so it's like, it's at the top of my list of things I want to learn next, crafts I want to learn next. And hardanger used to be like super popular, I think. That was kind of a fad, and I do wish that it was more popular, that it was just more out there. And I think, you know, people still do it, but it's just not, it's not as accessible as cross stitch right now. And so I think that's probably another thing, another trend or fad that I'm sad is gone. But I hope that it returns, and I think it might, you know, who knows? So anyways, that is the end of this Getting to Know You tag. I hope that you enjoyed that, and the questions will be listed down below, as well as Scott's Flosstube channel, so you can go and check him out and hear his answers. And I encourage any of you to also do this Getting to Know You tag, because it's just kind of fun. It's kind of fun to hear what stitchers say about themselves and about their stitching. So anyway, that's it for this Flosstube Extra. I hope that you enjoyed. Please feel free to subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more content. I don't film regularly. It's something that I aspire to, but not something that I can make happen, you know, practically at this point in my life. So for now, subscribing is the best way to know when I will upload more videos. Anyway, I hope that all of you are well wherever you are, and let me know if you know of anyone else who's going to participate in this Getting to Know You tag, because I would love to check those people out as well. So also let me know in the comments. I know this is, ending these videos is really tricky. Okay, I would also love to know in the comments if you remember your first cross stitch project. I'm just curious. Do you remember what that first project was? And what are your memories about it? And yeah, I would love to hear what other people say. So anyways, wherever you are, I hope that you are well, and just take care. Bye.